As Owen mentioned, I was the head Dharma teacher for the Empty Gate Zen Center for about 15 years. And I actually received a request last month to talk about being the head Dharma teacher. So uh, we at the Empty Gate Zen Center, along with the rest of our school, are in this time of Kyolche, which means tight Dharma in our Providence at the Zen monastery at the Providence Zen Center, along with several other places in Europe and in Asia. They're doing 90-day retreats at this time. And we participate through our talks and, of course, from our 8-day or 2-week retreat. And this year the theme has been talking about practice. So someone asked me to talk about being head Dharma teacher, and I've actually decided to talk about just work at retreats. So just work period, and then being Moktak master and being head Dharma teacher. So having these different kinds of jobs and what they might mean. So when in our temple rules, we have this wonderful admonition. There are two types of work, inside work and outside work. Inside work means keeping clear mind. Outside work means help all beings. First work, then eat. All right. So in all these kinds of work that I'll talk about today, from work period to Moktak master to head Dharma teacher, there's this inside work and this outside work. This inside work of the retreat itself, asking ourselves, what am I? What is this? Keeping this great don't know mind, even as we work, not despite it, but with it. And this outside work of how is this work actually helping the others on this retreat, actually helping this world. So when we first show up to our very first quantum retreat, where I won't speak for you, but my experience was just being quite both dazzled and quite confused by all the different forms. Looked really great, but I didn't understand why we did half of the things we did on the retreat, particularly the 4-bowl eating and the ritual that we do around meals. At least we did pre-pandemic, and we haven't quite got back to yet. So it can be very perplexing coming to a quantum retreat for the very first time with all these rules. And it's so important to everybody that you follow the form. And it hopefully, if you came to the retreat early and somebody explained some of the forms to you and maybe helped you with some of the themes about our retreats. Some of the themes include that we really do everything together. We are very together action oriented. Together action is one of these new neologians that our founding Zen Master Sung San came up with to describe walking together, sitting together, bowing together, eating together, and just each of the practices we're doing together. And it's very different if you go to say Spirit Rock and do a Vipassana retreat. You know, a lot of the forms are much less strict, and you can have your water bottle next to your cushion, and you can wear whatever you want during the sittings and such. And it's not that we're strict in the sense that anybody's going to yell at you if you move during meditation. You can stand up during meditation. You can arrange to lie down during meditation. Um, so it's not that everyone's going to make you do something that you can't do, like sit too long or do bows or do anything that you don't need to do, but we still follow the forms, and it's really important to us to follow the forms. So after a while, you get to know the forms, and especially if you do more than 1 day retreat, you suddenly begin to understand that these forms help everybody on the retreat to live together, to practice together, and everything goes so smoothly. And when everybody does those 4 bowls, the eating ritual, it means no dishes, right? So all the bowls are back up on the shelf, and there are at least no bowls to do. There certainly be pots and pans and other things in the kitchen to clean, but it's just a very efficient way to live. And when you have so many people living in a small space like we do at the Empty Gate Zen Center, it really helps that everybody lives by and follows these forms. And after a while, you get to know the forms. You can do them all fairly easily. After a while, many of us have this experience. It's like, I can't believe I ever had another life. It's like it begins to feel so normal. I can't even remember having a life before this retreat. And it really begins to feel like this one organism. When the Mok Talk, the 5 minute Mok Talk is hit, and you just go and you sit. It's time to sit. When the chickpea is hit again, stand up and do walking meditation, and just everything very effortless. Doesn't mean that the retreat's going to be easy. That's never a given. You're going to have your experience on the retreat, but the container that's created, at first it can be very awkward, but then you learn the forms, it becomes more ingrained, like a habit, and then you suddenly realize how these forms are helping everyone to work together, and you really feel like you're part of that retreat, part of this whole organism, all working towards the same thing, is spending this precious time to wake up. Then breakfast is over, work period. So always during retreat, there's work period. And so there are a lot of different tasks. So if you look at behind Owen and Tori there, there's that big altar, and that all needs to be cleaned. All the floors need to be cleaned. The bathrooms need to be cleaned. Oh, the kitchen. And then outside, there's that great big garden and grassy area and lots of leaves from the trees and the gutters, and always a lot of work to do. So it's always been amazing to me that we pay all this money to go on to a retreat and spend 12 hours a day sitting silently. But more than that, we're paying to go and be used as a workforce. I remember doing retreats in Colorado. We were at a Baptist summer camp, and they would really put us to work. They would take us out, and we would dig ditches and trenches. And one year they had us take down miles and miles of barbed wire. So we would actually take the posts out and just coil just miles of barbed wire, and it really felt like work. Again, just doing the work is putting down our likes and dislikes, and what is the work of this moment, and just do this. Sometimes work is going to be very enjoyable. Sometimes it's going to be very difficult, especially if you don't quite understand it, or don't understand the expectations. But the only expectation really is to just do your best and to clean up. And everybody understands what a clean setting, clean bathrooms, clean hallways, a really nice, well-kept garden, the sidewalks swept, everything. It feels wonderful when work period is over and we can see the results of all this work that we do together. So that inside work, just this moment, just, cleaning this pot, pulling this weed, sweeping this up, that translates to, helping the whole retreat. Then you've been practicing for a while, and terror strikes, and someone asks you to be the Moktak master. So if you look at the screen with Owen and Tori, on Tori's side, if you were sitting back there behind the next to the altar, that's where the Moktak master sits. And that's the person who hits the Moktak during the chanting. And they have a couple of other duties. One that everybody mentions is 5 minutes before every activity, whether it's a meditation or bowing in the morning, anything that people need to gather again into the Dharma room, meals also, to hit the 5-minute Moktak. Dun 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 dun. Of course, that means that you need to show up to the Dharma room 5 minutes early, be dressed in your robes 5 minutes early, and hitting the Moktak 5 minutes early. That means that you need to have this time sense that other people on the retreat don't necessarily need to have. And so it's calling you forward to have this sense all day long about what time it is and to be early. It also means lighting the altar, so lighting the candles on the altar and the incense and such. At the end of every bell chant, having your Moktak out in front of you and hitting the Moktak right at the last hit of the bell chant, and changing the water on the altar after bows. So it's a lot to remember. The point of the Moktak master is that they just have this series of duties they need to do every day exactly the same way. So it's really training in meticulousness. And the Moktak master who's good at the job at the Empty Gate Zen Center, we could helicopter them to Poland, to one of our centers in Poland, and drop them down, and they would do mostly fine as Moktak master in a different place, even if they didn't speak the language of the retreat, because our forms across the world are that congruent. But the idea that just every day you're just going to do the same thing. 5 minutes before bows, you're in the Dharma room with your robes on, doing that 5-minute Moktak. You're doing the Moktak during the chanting. You're lighting the altar. You're closing the altar, right? Just every day, same. So it's really teaching being meticulous. Every day, same thing. So this job creates the structure of the retreat. So everybody relies on the Moktak master to be on time, 5 minutes, and doing that Moktak, because it allows everyone that full 5 minutes to get into the Dharma room. That regularity that we can count on the Moktak master always doing that 5 minute warning, really just the whole retreat can relax if they know that's going to happen. And then knowing that the altar is going to get lit, that the chanting is going to be done exactly the same way every day. That creates the rhythm of the retreat. So that meticulous practice on the inside for the Moktak master creates the structure of the retreat. It creates the structure around the rest of the retreatants can schedule their time and really feel held by the chanting, by the reminders, and such. So you've gotten really good at being the Moktak master, and then, yikes, someone asks you to be the head Dharma teacher. So if you look at the altar again, on Owen's side, the head Dharma teacher sits over besides the altar on that side. The head Dharma teacher, everybody knows the head Dharma teacher mostly as the person who times the meditation. So they hit the Chugpi at the beginning of the meditation 3 times. They hit the Chugpi again to signal the walking meditation. If the teacher's not in the room, they lead the walking meditation. And when the walking meditation ends, when the whole meditation session ends, they also lead the eating ritual and some other things. So the head Dharma teacher appears to be similar to the Moktak master, but there's a big difference. The Moktak master just does the same thing each time, meticulously. Same job over and over and over again. The head Dharma teacher is doing tasks, but also watching that the entire room is also doing their job. So the head Dharma teacher is watching that the whole room is also in sync with what's going on. They're making sure that people are following the form. They're making sure that the room is following the form, that the mats are lined up, that people are getting chant books when it's chanting time. They're having a different experience. They're watching the whole room. They're taking care of the room. When I think about the skill of being a head Dharma teacher, I actually think of nurses on a hospital ward. So if you've ever worked on a hospital ward, there isn't a strict hierarchy of control command. Like what happens? It all happens on routine. It's every 4 hours, vital signs. This is the time you pass out medications and such and such. But really what's going on is there's a lot of chaos going on a hospital ward. There's things that nobody predicted. And so everybody is scanning the room to make sure that everything is okay. At least once every hour, every nurse has to go into each of their rooms and ask, how are you doing? Is there anything I can do for you? So they're always scanning for what's missing, what's wrong. You're scanning the hallways. Is somebody walking in the hallways that shouldn't be walking in the hallway, that they should be in bed, right? So you're always scanning for what's going wrong, what's going right. And there's you never, as a nurse on a hospital ward, you never turn it off. unless you're on your break. And then even then it's kind of difficult. So I remember one time working on a hospital ward. Someone had been taken in their bed out of the room and taken to a different floor, which means there was no bed in this room. And two different nurses had gotten beds, and they almost collided, bringing their two beds to replace it into this room. And I was standing next to a patient who was also like a CEO or something, but he was definitely a business person. He says, "What kind of program are you running here? You know, somebody should be in charge of who gets that bed." And I was trying to explain to him, it's just um, this was out of the ordinary that two beds showed up at the same time, but everybody's scanning for what's needed, and that's how a lot of a lot of the problems just get taken care of. Not one person in command just giving orders. So the head Dharma teacher has this consciousness of constantly scanning the room. How is this going? How are we following the forms? And of course, there are extremes on both sides. You can be incredibly tight and drill instructor like and follow the forms to the nth degree and make the room very uncomfortable with a lot of demands. You can also be incredibly loose and really let everything go. And the guiding teacher will probably not like that either, because people can't. It's not conductive to meditation to if the forms aren't being followed. So following a nuanced, compassionate path to making sure that the forms are being followed. And really at the root of that is remembering what forms are for. Just right from the beginning, on your first day coming in, learning that the forms have a function. They function to help us to practice together. So with that as our guide, looking at how the forms are being followed, and this fine art of giving correction. Sometimes there are moments when, just a couple of words will help. Oftentimes when people make mistakes, I will wait until the next break and talk to them in private. It's much better. The most important thing is, of course, not to shame anyone, because that's exactly the opposite of what we want. We want the forms to grow and become natural. And especially if everybody understands what the forms, why we do the forms. So I have two examples, during the eating. If you haven't been here before the pandemic, you may not be familiar with our four bowl ritual. But one of the things, aspects of the four bowl ritual is that after the food is served and we start to eat, you cannot get up and get seconds. You cannot get up and get more condiments. It's just that part of the ritual is over, right? So if someone were, if some new person were to get up and maybe go and get some salt and just not understand this, how do you work with that? There, depending on the person, you might say, the time for getting things is over, you might just let them just do it and then return to their seat and then tell them later. If there's someone sitting next to them, it might be nice, good for them to just ask them, where are you going? And, um, time to just keep sitting here. So for the head Dharma teacher, keeping both their practice, what am I? What is this? Don't know, keeping this great don't know mind, and keeping this this scanning and open field of watching and connection with the whole room is itself a tremendous practice. How do we keep both of those at the same time? And it's not easy. I've spent many a retreat completely strategizing and just thinking about the head Dharma teacher duties. And it's a real, an incredible gift that the head Dharma teacher is giving to the retreat. Because really, when that brand new person we were talking about at the beginning walks in, it's really the mind of the head Dharma teacher, the mind of everyone who's coming to retreat, the mind of the guiding teacher of the retreat that they're walking into. They're seeing the mats aligned. They're seeing this clear room, this clean room. They're seeing the altar that has a lot of intention and precision in it. They're seeing, they're really seeing a place where they can come, they can sit down, and without a lot of drama, spend time to ask this great question. So the head Dharma teacher is creating this space with their voice, with their actions, with their intention. And of course, how do we treat our own thoughts? How do we treat our own life, if not that same way? One of the realities of being the head Dharma teacher is, of course, you can't control anything. You put your effort in and you can try your best. You can't really control. You can't control other people. You can't control events. So being head Dharma teacher also it's very similar to the other roles in that, at the beginning, you're trying to learn all the forms yourself. And often when you become head Dharma teacher, you realize how many forms that you don't really know that well. After a while, it becomes more natural. You get, your sea legs, you get to have your own style. And I think after a while, especially on longer retreats, after you've done longer retreats and you've been the head Dharma teacher for a long time, even this idea of taking care of everybody falls away. And you just do. You just do it. It arises naturally. What's needed, just arrive in that place and provide it. So our practice, what am I? What is this? Don't know. and helping others, being responsive, being sensitive. How do I correct this person? Yeah. Or does it need correcting right now? All those questions, all that responsiveness comes together being head Dharma teacher. And it's a lot. And I think everybody who's done it finds it incredibly rewarding. If we can't control other people, we learn how to tolerate a certain amount of chaos. That this room, there's so much happening in the room, and we don't know all the stories. The guiding teacher is doing interviews and knows what each person is going through. As the head Dharma teacher, you generally don't know what's going on for most people, and still, you're trying to create this environment for them to sit and to sit with their stuff, and where everybody can sit with their stuff. The beginner can sit with their stuff. The very advanced meditator, the person who's been with our school for over 20 years, can also sit with their stuff. That's the beauty of our forms, and that's I believe that's the beauty of that head Dharma teacher position, of just being that stable center around which the retreat itself can create itself, and where everybody can find their cushion. And right here, with as little drama as possible, take advantage of that precious time that we've given to ask this great question: what am I? Don't know. And as the temple rules say, we have two jobs: inside job, outside job. Inside job, keep clear mind. Outside job, help all beings. Thank you very much.